Folks, this is going to be a story that you're going to hear a lot of hot takes on, so check it out. Pasquotank correctional worker charged with bringing drugs into Elizabeth City prison. Folks, drugs. Drugs. Now think to yourself, drugs? What, like heroin? Crack? Pills? Drugs? What's going on here? There's drugs in our prisons. Cigarettes, maybe? Are cigarettes allowed in prisons? What about coffee? Caffeine? Is caffeine allowed in prisons? What about sugar? Are you allowed to have sugary drinks and food in prisons? Is high fructose corn syrup in the prisons? What possibly could the drugs be? Does anyone know? Does anyone know what these drugs are? Personally, if I saw a correctional facility person bringing in high fructose corn syrup, I would boot them. I would have to. I'm sorry, high fructose corn syrup really it does untold amounts of damage to your body. It's addictive more than most other drugs. I mean, I would honestly shut down the whole prison. We go COVID, whatever, but really the high fructose corn syrup needs to be controlled. So what are these drugs? If y'all understand my sarcasm, you'll probably guess. Elizabeth City, North Carolina, a former correctional facility or a former correctional unit housing manager at a North Carolina prison is facing several drug-related charges after she was caught bringing marijuana into the prison, according to a law enforcement. Folks, it has to be said.
Really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
Marijuana is not a drug. If high fructose corn syrup isn't a drug, marijuana is not a drug. If coffee isn't a drug, marijuana is not a drug. If tobacco isn't a drug, then marijuana is not a drug. They say drugs in the headline. Drugs! Ooh, they're bringing drugs in the goddamn prison. Whoa, we're gonna get some drugs. It's fucking weed, bro. But wait until you find out how much weed it was. Whatever, I'm not gonna say the name. Of Elizabeth City was arrested last week and charged with possession of a controlled substance. Now, I want to keep in mind, for those of you that don't know, in fact, let me bring up a map. Let me bring up a map here. Alright. So a lot of y'all might not know where Elizabeth City is. So, here's a map of North Carolina. Now, oh, where's Elizabeth City? Look up. Here it is. Elizabeth City is right here. Now, you might be wondering, wow, that's pretty close to the border of Virginia. Well, guess what, folks? In Virginia, marijuana is not a drug. It's legal in Virginia. Now, does that mean you can bring it into prisons? I'm not sure about that. But think about how stupid it is. Like, literally, 30-minute drive, boom, you're good. No drugs to be found. But all of a sudden, you go across the arbitrary line in the sand, drugs. Whoa! All the drugs are going into us. Like, what? Drugs? Like, imagine, like, literally, how lame do you have to be to hear marijuana and go like, oh my god, drugs. Like, it's bizarre. So let's continue. Possession of drug paraphernalia. Is a lighter drug paraphernalia? Does anyone know? Does that count as drug paraphernalia? Do rolling papers count as drug paraphernalia? You could roll tobacco cigarettes. Is that drug? Or is that a drug? Tobacco cigarettes? Is that a drug? Are you not allowed to roll your own cigarettes? You have to buy them from a mass manufacturer? What the hell is that shit? During a routine search of prison staff at Pasquotank Correctional Institution for contraband, was arrested when they found drugs on her, Pasquotank Sheriff Tommy Wooten said. Spence tried to bring about... Oh, no? 12 grams of marijuana into the prison and had, this is unbelievable, grinders, rolling paper, and had smoked marijuana cigars. Oh my. How will anyone ever recover? They had a grinder and rolling papers. Can you fucking imagine how depraved a human being has to be to have rolling papers on their person, like in their pocket? They had rolling papers in their pocket. Oh no! The arrest is being investigated both internally and by local law enforcement. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Was released from the $3,000 bond. Court date September 27th. Oh, that's 3 days before my court date. Nice. The paraphernalia charge. Amazing. My court date's on September 30th, folks. But I mean, like, what? This is the world we live in, folks. Now, again, I also want to analyze another angle of this. You're in prison? You're not allowed to smoke weed in prison? You're already in a cement and steel box. Probably you were sent there for smoking marijuana on the sidewalk. You're telling me that we have to, like, treat our prisoners so poorly they can't even fucking have a joint once in a while? And also, 12 grams. What? That's not even half an ounce, brother. What are you doing? Drugs. By the way, this is in the Virginia Pilot newspaper, which, in Virginia, it's legal. So, what the fuck? Like, there's so much wrong with this, man. I can't even begin.